Math minute number 37. Number 1 is a proportion problem. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to do 1 times 6, and then we're going to divide by 3. So 1 times 6 divided by 3. 1 times 6 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is going to equal 2. So x has to equal 2 for these two equations to be equal to each other. Number 2, we're adding fractions with different denominators. So we got 1/3 plus 3/6. So this is the idea of multiples, where I have 3 and 6 as my denominator. So I need to make that the same. So to do that, I have to take multiples of 3 and 6, and then I find the smallest one that they have in common. So let's just take the first 5 multiples of 3, which would be 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. I just keep adding 3 every time. And then the first 5 multiples of 6 would be 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. So now I want to find the smallest number that they have in common in these rows, and it's 6. So that's going to become my new denominator for both fractions. Well, you'll notice that the 6 here didn't change, so that fraction is going to stay the same. But this went from 3 to 6. So I have to ask myself, what did I multiply 3 by to get 6? Well, I multiplied it by 2. So I have to do the same thing to this numerator. So 1 times 2 would be 2. Now that I have the same bottom number, I can just add the top. 2 plus 3 is 5. So my answer is going to be 5 over 6. Number 3, we're adding decimals, and to do that, you want to stack them vertically. So 0.46 goes on the top, and then 0.05 on the bottom. I want to line up my decimal, so now I can just add 6 plus 5 is 11. 1, carry the 1, 1 plus 4 is 5. Decimal point goes there, 0 goes there. So 0.51 would be my answer. Number 4 says filling the missing number. So I have 5 times some number equals 0.25. Well, to find this missing number, I do the opposite of what it's telling me to do right here. So if it's telling me to multiply, I need to do the opposite to figure out the missing number, which in this case is going to be divide. So I'm going to take 0.25 divided by 5. When I plug that into the calculator, I'd get 0.05. So that's what's going to go in the box. Number 5 says, which of these numbers represents 17 thousandths? So what I want to do is I want to find the 7 that's in the thousandths place. So let's start with this 7 here. Well, the first place value to the right of the decimal point is tenths. So we go tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10 thousandths. So this 7 was in the 10 thousandths place. So it's not that one because we want thousandths. This 7 here, so we go tenths, hundredths. So this is in the hundredths place. And then this 7 would be tenths, hundredths, thousandths, which is what we were looking for, right? We were looking for the 7 in the thousandths place. So C is going to be our answer for that one. Number 6 says put the numbers 4, 12, 16, 18, 20 into the Venn diagram. Hint, one of the numbers will go in both rings. So we need to find multiples of 4 and multiples of 6. Let's just take the first 5 multiples for each. So 4 would be 4, 8, 12, 16, and 20. And then 6 would be 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. So our first number in this grouping was 4, and that was in the multiples of 4 row, so we're going to put that there. Then we had 12. I noticed that's in both rows, so that's going to go in this middle part. 16 was in the multiples of 4 row, so that's going to go there. 18 was in the multiples of 6. And then 20 was in the multiples of 4. So there's where our 5 numbers would go. Number 7 says shade the boxes in the 4th shape to create the next shape in the sequence. So what you'll notice is as it's going from one shape to the next, the shaded parts are just going over one column. So in here, the first column is shaded, this one, the second column shaded, this one's the third. So for the 4th one, it has to go back to the first column. It should be shaded in. Number 8 says find the 2 prime numbers that complete the equation. So the answer is going to be 12, so I want to find the prime numbers that are between 1 and 12. And so those would be 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. Remember, prime numbers are numbers that only have 2 factors, one in itself. So out of these 5 numbers, I have to ask myself, well, which 2 could I use to add to get 12? Well, the only ones that would work here would be the 5 and the 7. So those are the 2 prime numbers I would use to add to get 12. Number 9 says draw the horizontal and vertical lines of symmetry in this figure. Well, the vertical line of symmetry would be this line, because if I folded it over on that line, this side of the triangle would match up with this side, and then this side of the triangle would match up with that side. And then the horizontal line of symmetry would go right there, because if I folded it over on this point, this whole triangle would match up with this whole triangle. So those would be the 2 lines of symmetry. And then number 10, I got to convert 2 1/4 kilometers into meters. Well, 1 kilometer equals 1,000 meters. So to figure out what 2 1/4 is, I would just multiply that by 1,000. And I'm going to convert 2 1/4 to a decimal, which would be 2.25. Because 1 divided by 4 would be 0.25. And then I'm going to multiply that by 1,000. When I do that, I would get 2,250. So that's how many meters would equal 2 1/4 kilometers. And that concludes Math Minute 37.